Good morning. It is just after 10:30 a.m. Although it's 10:33, which is better than we've done, or that I've done for the last few weeks. And it's Sunday morning. That means it is time for Sunday Club, a at least once a week live stream where we look at building Rails apps. And until kind of fairly recently, we've been kind of playing around with different Rails gems and looking at different aspects of Rails, and you can go back in the stream to find those. But what we have been doing more recently in the last few weeks is kind of going, before we were just like flitting around and looking at different aspects and not really trying to ship anything. In the last few weeks, we've kind of spoken about the kind of app that I really want to build, and then actually build a shippable version of that app. So we've gone all the way back to basics and looked at some UI design and some of the things involved in that. Not kind of a traditional journey that we would go on. We haven't really done any of like the product side of things. We're just kind of diving in and just playing around with some of the UI things and using that to infer how we might model our domain and things like that. So we're kind of not quite doing things quote unquote properly, but we are doing things a little bit more in depth than we were doing previously when we were just building the toy app. And the app that we're building this time is an event registration application, event registration and ticketing. And I'm just going to clean my glasses. If you're wondering if I look a little disheveled, it is so hot here. It's 10:30 a.m. and it is already 20 high something degrees, and in the little feels like section, apparently it was already over 30. That's at 10:30 a.m. Windows are open here and it is baking hot. We've got all the blinds closed and everything in the house to try and cool down. But if you notice me actively perspiring during this, then don't be surprised by that. It's super hot, and no judgment, please. So let's just dive straight back into where we picked up from last week. So let's switch over to our browser. Okay. So we spent a lot of time talking around navigation hierarchy, page hierarchy, and things like that last week. And so let's dive into the things on the page. And we talked about, how the hierarchy of your dashboard or user interface can help you model or look for associations or actively work against associations in your application. So what we had by that was, so you might have something like events. So this is event registration software. You might have events, and then you might have an event has many attendees or has many people or whatever you want to call it. And they might then be grouped for each event. But it's very likely that an administrator of the system doesn't really care about knowing which event someone is attending before finding that person, and they might want to start grouping people across multiple events. So in the developer's mind, it'd be really easy to go like event has many attendees or people, and then you would never actually put people or attendees or whatever that naming is at the top of the name, at the top of the user interface, because in your mind the association always cascades down that kind of neat event, attendees, participants, people, whatever you want to call it. And so when you are using the user interface as a mechanism to help you visualize the potential domain model, you can just spot little things like that. And again, you don't always have that advantage. And again, it doesn't. You can just as easily shoot yourself in the foot doing it. So it's not a guaranteed kind of quote unquote good way of doing things, but it's just an interesting way of finding just associations that you might not think, or functionality that you probably are going to bump into in 6 months, but you wish that you had spotted. Hello in the chat. Good morning. I'm very appreciative of people who are either awake very early or very late, depending on what time zone they're in. So let's kind of go and take a look. One of the other things I wanted to do is then take a look at list views. Let's go and kind of start at Tailwind UI was the other thing we were looking at, not Tailwind CSS. And this is kind of like this pre-made bits of Tailwind that we're using, which and again, because we're just prototyping here, we're using this. I actually don't think I'm going to end up using this in the application. But I just wanted to look at some of I think they had some list view components somewhere. Application UI, here we go. tables, stacked lists. Okay, so we've got a table here. Simple striped table. And a simple table. Okay. And then what's stacked? Okay, so this is the more complex. Yeah, okay. So this is an interesting one. So where I'm thinking here is that what we prototyped out very quickly at the end of last week was this idea of being in an event. And the thing I was trying to highlight here is the action buttons on the right-hand side. So creating that hierarchy of high-level navigation, secondary or some sort of sub-level navigation. And then you're going to want to, at that point, you're accessing some sort of resource in your system at this point, like an event or something like that. And you're going to want to act on it. So edit it, if you publish it or something like that. And the point I was trying to make was that you need it to be clear what these action buttons, what you're acting on, and make those consistent. So if you're in an event, put the buttons at the top right. And then if you drop into like an attendee, make sure the buttons are there. Or let's say that within this event, you had a list of attendees and you clicked on an attendee. Would the event information stay there and then the attendee information be underneath? And there would be also an edit button here for the attendee. Like that's really hard to get right in an admin UI. Just a note for anyone who was watching last week. Finian reached out and we were talking about Stripe, and I had mentioned that they always kept their admin over the left and they kept a constrained width. He sent me a screenshot. I haven't had a chance to log back into it, but they have just updated their UI with a lot of changes in it, but I think it's now full width, so I think they have bumped into the edges of what they were able to achieve with that kind of fixed width, because they used to have that kind of very like a pale blue fade, I think, in the background, and those like raised panels was their aesthetic, and loads of constrained width. And I think now they're a bit more they just do so much more in that admin area that I think they've got to have a little bit more room. So go check that out if you're a Stripe user or interested in admin UIs. And hopefully, like, if you watch these videos, like every time you log into something at the moment, you're looking at admin UIs and being like, oh, that's an interesting choice, how I move between teams, or where the hell I find anything or anything like that. So let's open up these two tabs next to each other. Let's load up tables versus stacked layouts. Where's tables? Here. Yeah, so I have been through this journey a few times where generally there is often a simple list to begin with, and you have a series of action buttons. You usually click on the thing to navigate into it. So in this case, it's a list of people. You click on it and you would go into view whatever page or information is about that person. And you might have a series of action buttons on the right. And that's fairly simple. Through the maturation of an application, I found that you generally tend to end up with more on those lists. And so here you can see that we've got the avatar. You immediately move to 2 lines because you want more information. You want their email address as well as their name, and you don't want to take up another column. And if you can see what's happening on these stacked lists, they're not a million miles different from this more complicated one. With avatars and multi-line content, with avatar. Yeah, I mean, it's the same deal, really. I have found that very often you end up with these being more panel-like. I mean, these are called stacked lists, but whatever you choose to call them. This one has actually just got a navigation indicator that you're going to go off and navigate into. Very often I find that you end up with 2 or 3 action buttons, sometimes with a sub-menu or something. And the idea that I've always seen used here is that if you have a list of things, what do you bump into? You bump into, I want to perform the same action on multiple things. So you end up with having to support multi-select. I've got a list of 100 people and I need to delete 10 of them. So I want to select the 10. I don't want to have to go into each one and click delete and things like that. So you end up having to support multi-select. The other thing you want is there are actions we have to perform consistently, but we do not need to go into the actual person to perform the action. And it's a lot slower for us as admins to perform that action. but you can't give us a multi-select because perhaps we need to pick an option or something like that. Like, I don't know what it would be, like mark as something, mark as unavailable or whatever it would be. So you might have a series of options here, a series of buttons or icons that allow you to perform an action without going into that record. And it can be pretty tricky to get there from a table, because you basically have to do the full design twice, because you don't give yourself enough, like, even just moving to this multi line thing, like that's a big redesign to get from here, this simple stripe table, to here on the multi-line is already a lot of additional design work. So if you can, like, I would do this design first. Like that, I've always found that useful. And on these stack lists, this idea of like, can we show as much information here on this list? I mean, it's just a list. To avoid the admin having to click into or just the user having to click into the resource to get the information, and also to head off having to do a full redesign if we need to add any functionality to it. Now, again, you always bump into, you don't need that early. Why not just chuck a table up and click an edit button? It'll be fine. 100% I'm subscribed to that, but these ones are always the ones that I find having to come back to, because it's just so common in an admin area to need to do more to a record. The other thing that you get often is the ability for them to work better on mobile. So I'm hoping if I move this collapses more neatly. Oh, no. So this is just a full-on traditional table that doesn't move. Whereas these stacked lists, I would assume, do they not have a little responsive doodad, or can I just move the screen? Where's the back end of jumping? Yeah, so they just kind of fold themselves neatly up, and you, for more work up front, buy yourself. Oh, is there like oh, these just, oh, I see, these are just screens. Wait, what's happening here? Oh, am I just getting a different screen? Oh, that's clever. These are screenshots of these, but I get a different screenshot if I collapse the viewport. Okay, that's clever. Someone's asking in the chat, do you stream on Twitch too? Yes, we should be live on Twitch right now, I'm hoping. If we are not, then something has gone wrong. But there's a Sunday Club channel on Twitch, so if you just look for Sunday Club, it should be there. I don't know. I think it's just twitch.tv/Sunday Club, I think. So let's carry on. Okay, so let's get one of these. Get one of these built. So let's do some coding today, because I feel in the heat it's probably our best bet for making any progress. So, like I said last week, I've just rebuilt my laptop, and we have got music this week. I don't know if you can hear it. I keep it pretty quiet, but I got that sorted during the week. Where is? Oh, please tell me I have VS Code installed between here. Yeah, because I must have did this last week. Okay, maybe I did. Did I not put VS Code on here for last week? I genuinely thought I had done that. No, okay, maybe I didn't. Did we not work on this on this laptop last week? I must have done. Hang on a second, bear with me. This is just because. All right, well, we're going to have to just really quickly grab VS Code in the background. Apologies for... Yeah, we definitely had it last week. Has one of the... I think I told it to update itself. Has it not? Has that crashed or something like that happened? Because what I want to do is actually get in here and build a couple of pages out that we can actually click through, so we can prototype this out properly and have ourselves clicking through different pages and stuff. So this shouldn't take too long to get installed. Yeah, I definitely did install this because I remember setting up the new settings sync. So let's see what happens here. Yes, not only... Okay, I don't know what's happened there. It's generally uninstalled itself. I've just re-downloaded it and it's come back up with all my settings and preferences correct. Sign into sync settings. Sign in with GitHub. Okay, bear with me here. Okay, don't need pull request or anything like that for now. Okay, great. Cool, okay, so let's go take a look at adding another page. So in here we've got admin index. So let's add like dashboard can be where we've got a user starting, and then we can have an event. Let's have event. Yeah, let's not try and have multiple things. So let's have an event. And oh, this is such a useful exercise. Like, I'm going to prototype out everything. Like, even in Sketch, like, it's just more fun to think through, like, the actual, oh, what am I trying to do here? So again, because we have, I don't think in our roots we actually put, if we have, oh no, that's so that we can do get. We can do slash admin will get us to, oh, we've already kind of got admin index, but we can do, that's right, we can have admin to admin index. Okay, and then we can have slash admin slash, oh no, I think slash admin can go to slash admin slash dashboard. Then we can have like admin slash event. And then that can, but it can be like admin slash event. One. It doesn't matter. That's just be event. I was thinking how much we want a prototype of Rails. And then we could have admin events can be to go to index. Again, these are all stupid. You wouldn't name anything. This is just to get, so if I go admin here, you should get a blank page. Great. So, oh my God, it's so hot. Okay, so we can now go to dashboard. We can start to separate out a nav into our layout as well, but we should have something like, what's this? Access event. Okay, so let's grab all of main. Why is that all in one? That can all just, oops. That can all get set to there. So then our main could be on our dashboard. And if we refresh this, great. So this is then dashboard, which again, as I said last week, I actually dislike dashboards, a lot of them, because the first place you land when you're an admin is super important, because usually you just want to perform your regular tasks. So, and I like having them made configurable is super useful. So everyone wants to go in and do a different thing. But like a widget UI is really complicated for people. Like, you know, drag over your most used widgets or something like that. But making it in some way configurable. Some people are going to need to go in and perform the same task. So in an events application, you might be someone running, you know, just day-to-day admin, printing off invoice, like, you know, whatever you're doing, printing off, exporting that list of attendees since yesterday or something like that. Some people want to know overall sales. Some people are going in to edit the event, and like going and sitting with users who perform those tasks is a really good way to find out how you can customize that first user experience. If you ever get an opportunity to do that, I mean, these days, like something like you could just have them screen share on Zoom and describe what they're trying to achieve. Okay, so we've got that one working, and we've got event. So event is actually what we have here. So it's actually event that needs this one, and then let's in our layouts. Yeah, I'll just put everything. Yeah, it's our admin UI prototype, so we can bump the font size up in this. I'll just put everything from here. Yep, in our layout file. And then each of those pages should have that. So then we've got... Oh, can I get Safari to show... Oops. Can I just get Safari to show the full website address? There we go. So that's /admin. Oops. Then we can do event /admin/event. They're hard coded. I've still forgotten them. If you can hear the noise next door, one of my neighbors is mowing their lawn, which I have to say they are braver than I am, because it's going to hit 30 degrees out there in the next hour or two. So good luck to them. Okay, so we've got dashboard, we've got event, and the other one was the index. And we haven't got anything in there for that, so we can open this. And that's events. Great. Okay. And let's take a look at events first. So did we get view component up and running? Because we could do that as well. That's something I'm really interested in doing. So there's a previous episode, if you're here for the Rails of it all, there's a previous stream in here where we used view component, which I really enjoyed and really made working with like a UI library like Tailwind a bit more accessible, because you can just abstract away a lot of the... So if we go to our like in here, a bunch of these classes and stuff will go away into the view component. So then you have like navbar item, you know, you'd have like high level navbar, sub level navbar item, all those fun naming conventions, whatever you end up calling them. Probably better names than that, I would assume. I don't know, they're not too bad. Okay, so let's try and get that up and running as well, because I don't remember that being too painful to get going. So let's and again, my other thinking here, view component Rails, is that maybe if we do these pretty well as a prototype, we could actually maybe lift and shift some of them over to some real code. Let's bump this up for the stream, just large enough there. Installation. So in our gem file, we are going to chuck this, and then we can do... Oh, we need to kill the server anyway, so we could do bundle install. Great. Let's actually check the docs and see what it says. Use the component generator to create a new view component. The generator accepts a component name and a list of arguments. Oh yeah, okay. So this was about like you could have two different types of structuring the files, didn't you? Sidecar assets, I think that was it. Yeah, okay, I'm going to need to come back and read some of this stuff. View components accept content through slots, enabling multiple blocks of content to be passed to a single view component. Slots are defined with renders one and renders many. So block component renders one header, renders many posts. And yeah, okay, this all is coming back to me vaguely. I think that there is likely someone at my front door because my dog's going crazy. Let's see what's happening. Okay, so we've got that installed. Let's generate yeah, let's generate this so it kind of gives us something to start working with. So let's do generate component. Do we have like on that slots where you're rendering many? We have block component renders many posts, renders one header. So it's supposed to be by passing in a second argument to renders one, renders many. Just looking for the actual outcome here. So block component. Don't think I really got into this level of detail, but okay. Can you pass it a collection of active record objects, or as you can with like a partial? I mean, here you're passing an array of hashes into the renders many part of the. Is it renders many? Is that what it's called? Yeah, renders many. Renders many links, link component, and then you pass in. But I'm assuming that could just be a collection of link components. Does this class have to be defined within this one because this uses renders many, or could this just be any given view component? Yeah, I'm thinking I'm a bit lost as to what the difference between those. Oh, I see. So there you're rendering. So within the, oh, I see. So that's actually within the component, and that's rendering out the component, but passing the child through to that. Okay. And those are just attributes which will then generate the okay, right. Sorry, yeah. Okay. Well, what do we want to generate as our example one? So they've got a component that's an entire log with header and posts. So could we have like an event? Oh, this is where you get into like an event table list, or just an event list. An event admin list or something like that. I wonder if the components can be namespace. Could you have an admin/event list and then... Because you could have event list for normal people, then an event admin list or an admin event list. God, fucking naming. Okay, so let's just call it an admin event list for now. And I didn't put any attributes in, but let's say that generates this component here. I'm aware that I've gone just slightly up from prototyping straight in HTML just because I did say in the original stream when we built this little repo, I think it is worth us doing some stuff with view component just to see if we can A, get more used to it, and B, get some lift and shift stuff that we can potentially use, and even if we get the naming completely wrong. So when we do lambda slots, we can do rendering collections. So it renders many links. And then we define that here. Just keeping the name really usable there. Admin event list item component, you know, just rolls off the tongue. And that inherits from view component base. Okay. And then this has some properties by the looks of things. Name and href seem fine for now. Well, href is stupid, isn't it? So you could just have name and path. Again, I don't know if you need that. Can you pass in the entire event here? Like that? This is where I can't remember. We did this before. Could you just pass in the event, or is that not the point? Do you actually want like a deconstructed, like I just want the actual name? Because if you get the whole event, is that just a performance overhead? I can't remember the best way to do this. They're like frequently asked questions. Let's see what this says. I'm just going to look through the docs while I'm thinking about this. So yeah, so they're passing an entire user in here. I don't see that being a huge problem. Let's just pass in the event for now. We can just knock up a quick dummy class. That, and then see how that works. Okay, so can we then render this? So we had collections. Oh, hang on. So collections is different from render many? Oh, rendering collections. Okay, so got rendering collections and collections. Use with collection parameter to change the name of the collection parameter. Additional arguments beside the collection are passed to each component instance. Right. Yeah, I don't actually think I need that. I'm not 100% sure. What's the difference? What's the difference between using renders many as a slot versus with collection? Or are they doing the same thing and I'm an idiot? By default, the component user's name to define the parameter passed into the component from the collection. Okay, so product component. So what does this render? You've got a product component with a collection of products. So is that going to render multiple of the product component? Where's the actual view for that? Here. View component defines a counter variable matching the parameter of iteration to initialize as an argument. I'm not sure I quite understand the difference between the two. Not like, oh fuck it, let's just dive in. I find those docs a little bit impenetrable. All right, well we've got this renders menu. Let's just see if we can render this out. I'll do. So index, and we can do this dot drift. Oh, come on back. You have to define a instance. Yeah. And then you pass in. So what am I passing that when I'm using the slots mechanism? I'm using, it's too hot. This is here, and then I need to go and actually change the component itself. Admin, this template here. Okay, but that will render out at the moment. So if I just do this and don't pass anything else in, will this render out that header here on index? Oh, I killed the server. Do you have to call render? That spits out the instance. Do you have to pass it like this as a block? Nope, still spitting out that. So it's got this in. I'm obviously missing something super obvious. Oh, I'm not. I'm not actually calling render. That would explain it. And then I don't, therefore, think we need the rest of the block. Great, add benefits to this template here. It's too hot. Great, okay, so that gets us this. And then if we go back to our docs, just go step by step. In here, we then had links.each. So here we would then have and that's links, and it's because that's renders many links, and this one is like that. And then we should have event as event, and then here we could have Can we do this and just pass it through? Just give it a name. But then when we actually render it, what did it do? Give it do, and then give it C as component. And oh wait, which one was no? C dot list items. And that is looking at how they've set that up. Okay, so that is then an array of hashes, and this one has name test event 1. Oops. 2. Okay, cool. Does that render at all? Nope. Using keyword event. Ah, because it. Are we actually only passing name to it then? Oh, I see. So I could pass in. Oh, okay. Yeah. So let's just do name. So we could create an object called. We could pass it a class with the property of name, or an instance with the property of name. I think. What? Oh. Okay, not sure what happened there. Looks like a Ruby crash of some sort. Really didn't like that one. Undefined method name. Okay, so we've only got name within that. Okay, that's just a structuring issue. Like you could either pass it a class with which one do we want to do? So if we go back to this, could we do oh no, maybe these have to be hashes. Yeah, they have to be hashes. Okay. But you could just we could still then just do a hash, make it a nested hash. Or no, that's because it's the syntax is going to be wrong for that, is it? Event. Yeah, I think this might be wrong as well. Undefined method name, event name. Yeah, okay, fine. Okay, fine. Let's just keep that as it was, and just pass in name here. That's fine. And then change the template that it spits out. Oh, why does that one then not have undefined method name for admin event list component? That name test event 1. That does have a property for name. Undefined method name for admin list component, admin event list item component. So what is... Can we pry there? Sorry, I'm just interested to see... I'll pry there, but have we got this? Yeah, okay, what's that? Define method name. But it has a property of name. Oh, I can't use prior stuff. Okay. So what is this? Oh, okay. It's a view component slot v2. So is it something like this we can access? No. But it does. And if we do, can we call render on this? Don't know if we're in the environment to get that. Okay, this is definitely me screwing up. That just puts out link. Should there be a corresponding... Oh, I see. Should there be a corresponding template for this? And it's because it's not in the doc. Right, okay. Should there be a link component in here? Let's... We've already defined the list item component. List. No, we've already described the list component. List item component. And then in here, this could be I am a list item, and then we just need name. And that's it. And then in here, we just spit that out. Anywhere near? I'm just making this up now. Cannot find a template file or inline render method for admin list component, admin event list item component. And is that because that class is defined within the other one? So what happens if I just do... this, like... I feel slightly confused as to why I'm rendering one within the other. And here. I think I've gone us backwards into event, admin event list item component RB. List. Oh, okay, got something. Undefined local variable or method name for admin event list item component name. That's got name. This has got name. And then here, am I not passing the name correctly? Yeah, I really feel like I've been screwed over by the docs here. I think I was trying to follow this, but I think if I had just made them as separate, I'm not sure quite what this has got me. Yeah, I think I would have been better just treating it like a different, just treating it as an independent view component. This is super useful for me, like just learning a bit more about this. I know we're doing less prototyping, but I think this is super useful. Okay, so let's just see if we can just do the rendering straight up in here. So without doing name, so to each one, the list is here. So when we get to here, this is basically a hash with a property of name on it. That's all this is. And then we've told it that this accepts. It renders many of those. And the only thing this has is a name. And yet when this comes out, it says undefined local variable method name. But it does still seem to have the property of name. Just bump the font size up on that. I'm obviously missing something really obvious here. I think I felt this. I am a list item name. That's actually in here. So we take that out. Will this then render? Okay, so we've got them here. And okay, so that's a step forward. We are rendering them. And I'm assuming it's that we don't need. Yeah, okay, so then we've got the list items rendering out. And it is rendering these. Close a bunch of these things down. But we need the list item to be able to render its name. But if we do that, it will fail. Okay, so if it's not name, or does it not need the render path like that? No, it does. Is it rendered differently because it's a hash? No, that's just gonna be whatever. Yeah, that's just because it's a symbol. And there's no like. Okay, how do I get that property? Oh, is it? Oh, right. Fuck, is it at name? I'm an idiot. Right, okay. Test time. Okay, great. Okay, really walked off. I'm an idiot. Right, walked ass about face into that one. Okay, so that's pretty painful. Okay, that's me and the docs not getting along too well, but let's not worry too much about that. That eventually got there. So that would, I could have left the list item component defined within the list component, but I still would have needed the HTML template, I think. Okay, and this on the index can, I'm assuming, be a collection of, no, that, because we tried that, that has to be a list of an array of hashes at this point by the looks of things. So is that just a deconstructed view of these collections? Because here you can just pass in @products. So product component. So in here, with collection parameter item, it doesn't actually mention in the docs that there must then need to be an item component that renders that out, but I'm assuming that's just a given, is it? Or is it that you're just rendering out lots of product components? Rails partials, it's possible. I'm being a complete idiot here. Like Rails partials, it's possible to render a collection with view components using with collection. Render product component with collection. Okay, so I'm assuming there that I'm rendering lots of product components. Okay, so that's it. So the with collection is I would like to create 10 of myself. I am a product component. I would like 10 of me. Here is a collection of 10 products. Create 10 of myself. Whereas the slots is I am a higher level component, and I would like to be able to produce. I would like to be able to pass the things required to create 10 subcomponents, which I will be allowed to do, and I will control how they are rendered within me, rather than having to do that at the actual template level. Okay, that's just, I think that's just me in the heat, not quite getting that difference. In which case, I think we've done it the right way around. We want the list component to know about list item components. That's the only thing it does. So we could say in here, oh, let's do this sidecar thing. I'm interested in this, like, because I've used CSS modules a little bit. So sidecar assets. It's possible to include JavaScript and CSS alongside components. To use the Webpacker gem to compile side components in app/components. In config webpacker.oml, add app components to the additional paths array. Let's go do this. Like, we're all in on view component today. I didn't know this is the way this was going to go, but that's the joy of streaming. Add app components to the additional paths array. So in webpacker.yml, additional paths, boom. In here, add that. Great. In the Webpack entry file of an app JavaScript pack application.js, add an import statement to a helper file, and in the helper file, import. Come on. In the Webpack entry file of an app JavaScript packs application, app JavaScript packs application, boom. Import -- components. Yes. Then in app JavaScript components.js, components.js, add this. Function import all r.keys. Import all require.context / components. Okay, so it's going to go and grab all the JavaScript stuff. Any file with the _component.js suffix, such as... Wait, I don't really care about the JavaScript. Actually more... Oh, okay. Ideally, sidecar JavaScript CSS should not leak out of the context of its associated component. One approach is to use web components, which contain all JavaScript functionality, internal markup, and stars within the shadow root of the web component. Stimulus create a one-to-one mapping between a stimulus controller and a component in order to load stimulus. Okay, I was actually more interested in the CSS more than the JavaScript particularly. But let's see if this... Is this only... I'm guessing this is only work if you're using Webpack. Okay, so let's see if we can then do... But it's only looking for .js. Do I have to have the JS file import the CSS file? Oh, man. That's just a lot. All right, okay. Okay, let's give that a try. So let's do the list item component because that one's going to be the more complicated one. So let's copy this and have it be the SAS file. And I think this will do nothing. So then this can be called test thing order red 2 pixels solid. Okay, so it's fine. I don't think this will be output at all. Maybe you just use the discipline of the naming convention. Again, just kind of an argument for sticking with if you use view component something like Tailwind, so you never need to bother with stuff like this, but just not sold on that either. Okay, so I don't think test thing has made it at this point into the output. Let's go and see. Is this crashed? Oh no, wait, maybe yeah, still still working on this new setup for this Mac. So in here we would have application CSS somewhere. Crap, it's so hot today. Genuinely, I can feel it getting warmer and warmer in here. I think we must be near 30 degrees by now. I Google it. It's 20. Yeah, it's 28 degrees right now. And it's going to hit 30 very shortly. Okay, that's cool. Let's not panic. I'll just slowly overheat. Okay, but what I think you actually have to do to get that working is add a JS file for this. And then import the SAS file. They're in the same directory, so maybe that will work. And then if we actually use this, okay. So can I just view the things in the source map or not? No? Okay. Or does the whole thing just crash? Oh, it's crashed. Okay, cool. That's fun. Okay, so I think by asking for the application.sas, it's just gone to generate the entire thing. Yeah, that one might be a lost cause. I think Safari itself has gone for a little lie down. I can't. There we go. But it's not rendering out. It hasn't. If I just put gibberish in here, will that fail? No, so it's actually not trying to get that, or do I have to restart the server? Get Webpack to read that. So hopefully we should get a failure saying, hey, I can't import that thing. Nope. Okay, I think Webpack is not trying. Let's put that there. Any such app components? Oh, it has to put underscore component.js. Does it not have that? No, we have got that underscore component.js. .css. Okay, does it have to import? A whole path? Remember that path is broken, so it should still fail. But I don't think it's trying. Well, it is recompiling every time that JS file changes, so it's detecting something. Is it just failing silently? I really feel like I'm out of my depth in terms of Webpack and things like that. It's just not an area I know hugely well. Okay, use it, but components. What's that? Yeah, I think more if Webpack is being used for styles. But it is, because I'm using it to generate these. Dot component. Yeah. It's not the order of this, is it? Does that need to be above there? Oh my god, it's so painful. It's taking so long every time. Okay, interesting. That broke stuff. That really did break stuff. Okay, that's cool. Change is good. And so now if we close some of this stuff down. Okay, that hasn't fixed it. Let's see if not trying to have a broken file in there fixes this. It's so painful. The feedback loop is like so slow. Ah, interesting. Okay, so we are getting somewhere. Okay. There's no, like, something in, like, ... intuition got that to break, but, like, no error message got me there. If this works, like, it'll just be total guesswork that got that working. Okay. So I now have that working without that breaking. But is this actually importing? And if I change that, this break again? Yeah, okay. So it needs that. That path resolves. And this, I'm assuming, is then output. Before here. And then we spit all of these out. Maybe this is where we don't actually get. Yeah, okay. I don't think I'm going to get to the bottom of that one quickly. So now if we just make a normal app JavaScript style sheets components admin event list. So new testing. Okay, here. And does this get everything inside style sheets or not? Does Webpack get everything within style sheets by default? Let's just try. So let's put. Where's the actual output of this? It's in the list item. Yeah, let's put that. And actually, no, we can then, if we do one below, then we know whether we get a blue border or a red border, which one's working. And if we save everything, we should have, if it's importing all of style sheets, then we should have a blue border. Otherwise we can just add, okay, so it's not, let's try adding in. So where are we there? Can we do? I think that's right? Okay, so it couldn't find components. Unfiled style sheet to import. And do you have to give it? Can you just give it a wildcard? No, okay, but then we can have, oh, is there not like an application one? Oh, this is application.css. Okay, so within here. I kind of thought everything within. So if I do. Don't know if I have to do it in. No, okay, so if I do Rails Webpack. You want to import the CSS and JavaScript. The typical set will have app JavaScript styles application.css, for example, which will bootstrap with global CSS. In your app JavaScript packs application JS, you will import this. So I think I'm looking for, like, in Sprockets, it was like render tree or something like that. Like this. Likely that you want to import it into CSS and JavaScript. The typical setup would have app JavaScript styles application CSS. Application CSS, which will have these. Okay, great. And styles in your app JavaScript packs application. App JavaScript packs application. Like this styles application. In your layout, you will add subpack application to add CSS for application JS. Reason for this setup is that Webpack is going to process application.js. I don't want to have to add each one independently. So if we add. Okay, so. JavaScript. Okay. Got all this done, I think. So you have to have each one individually? That sounds incredibly fucking painful. So from within here, I would have to have... See if this works. So we should have like a blue or a red border. I can't remember which one was which. Okay, so I have my blue border. This is because this is handling it via SAS import. I mean, that's each component. So and that didn't work there because that's JavaScript trying to do the SAS import too late. So could I have done that in here? So if I do that, could I do this? Just directly import that and then remove it from here. Do these still have blue borders in that case? Can I import SAS directly into a JavaScript file in the default Webpacker, I suppose is what I'm asking. This is my real lack of knowledge in how this gets handled. So no, that's not working. And what error do I actually get in Webpack there? Like none. Here, can't resolve app JavaScript style sheet components. App JavaScript style sheet components is app JavaScript. Admin event list. Is it just a relative naming issue? Just editing that to find out. Yes, okay, so you can. So this works. So import dot components in here. Import all require context. Could you do that and then that? I don't really know what the fuck that does, but let's I'm trying to see if we can get the red one working, which is our sidecar, which would be this file here. So we want to then, let's see if that'll do both. Can we? Because we can get the red border and the blue border, I think. So what I've basically tried to do there is get this new file we've added. I'd imagine that actually is going to resolve with import. I actually have no idea how that works. Yeah, let's see if we can take that one out and just do that one. Is it underscore? No, okay. I'm trying to get it to import everything inside components with underscore component.scss by default. Again, I'm just guessing that that's what that line is doing, to do an import all. And then in here, in here, that could then go. Oh, no, actually, this might not be working. So this might be what works. Might be able to leave that other import all there because we weren't actually calling it there. Sorry, I cocked that up. So if you see red lines, we've done it so that it will import all our CSS. Okay, so we've got none because this one has now gone. It's calling this. So we could do something like we just want the whole thing go red, just so we know whether that file is being imported at all. Are we getting any errors when we try and spit that out? Yes, excellent. And so there's something wrong with .test thing. Ah, it's a fucking typo. Okay, so I don't know what point that actually was working. Possibly. So could we do without this now? Can we delete that altogether? Get this, so we should have maybe the red boxes around it. Okay, well, I've learned loads about it. A, don't screw up with typos. That's a normal one. But now we should have our red boxes. Okay, amazing. So we have sidecar Sass assets working in view component. So what it means is we can keep these here. Okay. So that was cool. We followed that through. So this can then go. That can then go. That's only using Tailwind stuff. But we have a new thing inside that can go as well. We have a new thing here which will go and get the Sass for our components before building application, which is where all the Tailwind stuff gets imported. So as long as we keep the naming separate, they can get imported first. Okay, amazing. So let's commit some of this stuff. So we don't need any of that, but let's commit. Got source tree on here? No, I'm gonna have to do it old school. Oh, we can do it in here. VS Code has got us covered. So let's do that and that. Actually in here. We can do a master. We're just on a whip branch, aren't we? Okay, so install view component gem. I'm going to write up better messages than we did before. So install view component. We want to use this in our prototyping in case we can lift and shift any components that we like into our real application. Plus, I'll learn a bit. Along the way. Cool. Let's commit that. Oh, is this not my... is this not already configured with my GitHub? This is all because I've got my new laptop set up. Okay. Let me just do that real quick. Where's terminal gone? There. Bear with me 2 seconds. I hope it's nice wherever you are and not boiling super hot. Just setting this up on the other screen. Cool. Okay, so now if we go to commit this, great, that's worked. So what did we do here? We added this that can go in. We added this. And we added this. And we did update Webpacker to get sidecar assets loading. We followed the docs. To get sidecar assets working in view component, which resulted. Yeah, okay. We modified components.js to search for all .scss files in the directory rather than .js, as we only care about sidecar CSS files for now. And I think with the default config, we would have had to imported the SAS file. That'll do. It's really prototyping stuff, so I think that gets the point across. And everything else in here is stylistic, like styles and stuff. And also we can lose that JS file. Is that still here? In our components? No, we must have deleted it. Okay, cool. Great. And we actually don't need... Or did we delete the blue one already? Yes, because we only care about this one. Okay, and here, what the SAS modules work does is actually prefixes the names of these. I don't think this is going to do that. So I think the naming, I'm assuming this. Yeah, it's still test thing and new test thing. Cool. So I just want to check actually. I've written that commit message and I just want to check that that's actually true what I've put. If I change this back to just the JS file, will it, is there something in Webpack that will infer? I think this should now not work. I think the red line should disappear. And we would have to add a JS file that then imports that SAS file. Yeah, okay, cool. So that is correct. And we've left that commented line in there, but that's fine again, because we're just prototyping stuff. So this can all be a bit messy. Great. Okay, so then we've got these up and running. Amazing. So then what I would do is probably name these as like a BEM syntax or something. So then you could have, it's going to get real long though, admin event list item. And maybe you don't need component at that point. But then in here, you could do this. And then, well, you could leave that in there, and then everything in here. Oh, what's the SAS thing for? Give me the SAS. Is it like a % sign? I don't know what to Google for, like parent class name. It's not the parent selector. I want the actual. How do I refer parents? Yeah, like it's an ampersand rather than a thing. Okay, so can I do... oh, wait, what did I say? It's an ampersand rather than a percent. Okay, so is it this? And then what would I do? Like a thing. I don't really care what it is. And then do border green. And just make a box. Again, I always just use really like make sure you can see the thing. Although you have to not put a typo in it as you did earlier. So then in here, in our actual components, I'm just closing stuff down. I only want the component and I want the SAS open. That's the parent component. That's the rendering of it. That's something else altogether. That's the controller. That's the component thing here. Right, okay. And then in here, we could have... So this should give us a green box, we're hoping. Oh man, that feedback loop. Cool, okay, broke that, that's fun. Let's bring back our logs over here. Top level selectors may not contain the parent selector. Right, okay, because it's not actually nested. But I can assign it. as get interpolation, right? So using SAS to control scope within BEM naming, that's what I'm looking for. Yep. Okay. Oh, okay, yeah, so I can do that. I just have to pop this inside that, but doesn't that then give me... Oh, I see, and then this... Yeah, so this was going to say, so you get the scope added. Just like in JavaScript, you're going to custom initiative to a variable called self. So what actual SAS do I get out of this? Because I would get dot admin event list item space dot thing. So what this thing is saying is I can do that. That's within modifiers. Is that the point? So what's the actual... Yeah, what's the actual output CSS there? Can I see that? Show frame source. Oh, cool. They are all at parent level. Okay, so that's actually what I want. So does this... I got the error for that. No, I didn't get the error there once I didn't set it. But what I want to check is that... I'm actually outputting non-nested SAS there. Oh, CSS, sorry. Remember, we're getting a long time. Yeah, it must be because I need that and that, which I wouldn't normally need. Oh, I've totally forgotten to put this stupid thing in. Yep. Definitely in the heat today. So is that my green box? Why did that one go so quickly? Oh, because I didn't change the SAS. Okay, great. That's then obviously, look at this. The element. Okay, I'm not 100% sure whether that's producing nested CSS or not. I don't think so, because I think SAS is smart enough not to. So then I could just do everything in there. Okay, cool. So that gets us set up with view component with sidecar SAS attributes. And and all we started wanting to do was produce lists of things. Although now we have fancy ways to produce lists. So what we can do is... So can we now extend... Let's just go all the way back to where we started to this idea of rendering collections. So render product component with collection product. So now can I do this? I don't want to wrap this inside the list component. Can I just go to the view here and do that? This, but with that. And with collection, this. And can I make this here? And we can just make this an array of okay, does this work? Initializer must accept admin event list item parameter. Okay, so that's the rest of the docs that I wasn't following here, which must be here. Product component. Initialize product. Okay, so this is list item component. So if we just don't try and render that one temporarily. Can we just give name a default? But it's only rendering out name. Okay, so if we give them both a default of nothing, then render out name and yeah, whatever. This one says something to, okay, and then if we then bring these back, is this making any sense to me whatsoever? Great. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So this is, hey, I'm a list. Yeah. So I think you would want to give this an event. There's no point. I can't see any real point in just giving it the kind of deconstructed list of stuff because it needs to know everything it needs about that event. Okay. And I don't know how, like, which one of these is the better approach then? I think if you're trying to keep everything inside these components, I'm guessing it's this. But this one does require it to have list items. And we definitely can't just pass it this. Can't convert open structure hash. Hash gives... Oh, wait, doesn't struct then go to hash? Isn't that the difference between open struct and struct, where one will deconstruct a hash in one point, or... Oh, I can't remember. But this would work with an actual active record object because it would do 2H. If we actually had a list of events, you could get it to put a list of attributes to a hash. Okay, I think that might work. Okay, we don't really care about that right now because for prototyping, this is all we really need. And this approach is probably all we need for now. Okay, and so here we would then start to get... because then in here... we then have control over whether or not to show this list, for example. So you're putting that logic inside the parent component. So we could say, like, if... do we get, like, dot size on that and things like that? No, because that's only... okay, sorry. Nope. It would be on items. So you could put your empty state stuff here. So you could say if... you know, whatever. That's that, and then as you then do another one of the these with an empty array. There are no admin events yet. Okay. And this could go and become a header. Okay. So by putting the... using this, you're then able to put the logic in that component, which I assume is how the thinking here goes. And then you could write a test to check the output of this component. Here you could write a test for this and say if event list items is empty, then it shouldn't contain, or it should contain there are no events yet, or something like that. Okay, I think that's what we should be doing. I think. So... but I also think that should be an array of or an array of objects that we then call the classes on. So this should then just accept event or admin event list item as event or whatever. And I'm not 100% sure how to do that with hash syntax requirement. You don't space for content areas and the original slots. Thanks. Yeah, I'd want to go and look at what component or what renders many is actually doing. Okay. Okay, fine. But without that, you can't then do something like So in here, we would want to put a link to the here, and at the moment we can just link to nothing. So that is not. We fixed the width of that, haven't we? Get rid of that. And just wait the 20 minutes it takes to recompile. Okay, and so that's a link that goes nowhere, but what we really want to do is have that go to so this would be at event, really, wouldn't it? Like that. And so we could do something. For now, I guess we would just do like path. We have to define path on the component. Just putting nil on there in case we forget to put it in. Okay, so now these link through to, is the name of them not? Oh. Oh, I've done it the wrong way around. I've removed, yeah, is it like, no, because it wanted path. It wanted name and path. Oh shit. Hang on, I've totally just screwed that up. Which way around? Because I did both versions. This now accepts name and path and sets them. Oh, and I think it's in here. I've done it wrong. So this should now just be name and path. And this one can just be name. Great. Okay. Yeah. So then, and then it's not, it's like view or something. View, and then if you click through, we actually go to the event. Okay, cool. So we could easily convert that to, if we wanted to start building, prototyping our actual models, we could start converting those through. And then like we could change events in our layout header. This has got the mobile and the other ones. This is... right, which way around is it? So this one is the desktop one. I guess it's this one. That's A, and then here we can just change that to go to /admin events. Again, this is all just prototyping. So we can go here. That takes us to our table of events, and then we can view that there. And then in our admin event list component, that's where we could start to put in Which one of these was grabbable from Tailwind UI earlier? Any of them? Oh, can I just view the HTML? I don't want to... There we go. This one. Yeah, I just find that so much harder to read than just having a SAS file for it. Like we could have some of these as helpers, but then actually just name. So I think some of these are really helpful, like flex call, like stuff that you're just doing that is really standard. PY2, so that's padding. So yeah, okay, I think I might leave that behind. Because all I really want is like a max width. Or is that not factored in here? Is this just filling up the space that it's given? What's a tape? What's the dash prefix here as well? Yeah, I think I might steal some of the Tailwind utility classes and then not use the rest, which is because in this component you could say you wouldn't do it within this component. You'd have like your own CSS components that were like admin list, and that would then set the styling of what all admin lists look like. But then you would have admin event list that would style any specifics for that, and then yeah, it's gonna be like a BEM thing, I guess. Because then that gets a bit semantically tricky. So you might have like, so let's say you have a class of admin, but then it's no different from having Tailwind. Like Tailwind CSS isn't mixed amongst the components, is it? So you could have in here and then it could be like yeah, like an entity list or something like that. I don't know, I'm just making this stuff up. And then as we said before, you would then need to pop that in here, which is fine because this is now stuff you're going to use everywhere. So that's, I can't remember how we did this. It would be like admin entity list. This might be awful. This might be awful, but it might be then like and I get the argument against this from Tailwind, which is like, why should you need to know? And you could just use this as a component. You could have a component called admin entity list that then wrapped admin event list item list. You could do it that way. Which you could, I suppose. I still don't know that this is any more readable though. But then it's inside the component. Yeah, okay, I'm still torn. So this could be like max width. Let's just put it like 500 or something like that. Entity underscore list. Don't even know if this is work. And then in here, again, maybe that should be a parent component rather than a CSS parent. Actually, it would be in events, wouldn't it? And then refresh this. Let's see if I missed that CSS. I've got to wrap this up because we've been going way too long. But this is really interesting. Like, I'm going to try and make an effort this week to write up, do thumbnails and write-ups for previous streams. That's what I'd like to do just because Great. Okay, yes. If you look, that's now got that max width. And so that's now coming from this idea of having a thing called an entity list that is just represents the styling for it. So we could be like, again, I get the argument that using Tailwind, you wouldn't need to have this. Everything would just be going, but I'm just learning 2 APIs for. I don't know if I'm going to output significantly less CSS either. Yeah, so that then gets me this, and I can then start to do whatever I want within that. And I then know that I could, if I wanted to, have a new component called admin entity list, which then wrapped admin event list, which then wrapped admin event list item, and kept the hierarchy all inside view components. And I could put that within folders if I wanted to. So everything is inside view components, which I think is probably the right thing to do. And then if the sidecar SAS is loading, then I know that each one is within them. Potentially, you could then have a stimulus controller for each one if you needed any specific thing. I think I like that. Rather, and then have a subset of utility classes like for Flexbox. You know, anything that's just really obvious, and maybe they're just literally named. Maybe they're named the same as Tailwind, maybe not. But then the CSS is always next to the HTML, so yes, it's not intermingled. You could have, so in order to, because you've still got global CSS with Tailwind, it's just purged. So you could have an admin global and a user space global. You could have different files. They're not going to be massive. Again, maybe if you build a huge application. Yeah, I think I quite like that. All right, I'm going to wrap this up. This has been a little bit more like what I imagine these streams are going to be. So pretty deep into details of stuff and just going off and doing a bit more in-depth stuff. So I don't know if people find this useful or less. I had a couple of comments last week that people do find them useful. So again, if you're going to let me know any feedback, then feel free. There isn't a problem with the stream. Someone reached out and said, hey, where's the stream from a couple of weeks ago? Something went wrong on YouTube. The stream went out. People watched it because there were people in the comments from YouTube, but it did not seem to close. Like there wasn't an artifact of video created. I don't know where that's gone. YouTube just completely screwed up there. It's actually still showing in my live list. So possibly there's a 2.5 week long stream somewhere, but I don't know. And I don't know if I can get that back, but I will try and reply to the DM and let you know. Other than that, like I said, I'm going to try and tidy up this stream this week because I'm not at work. And so I will let you all know. Try and stay out of the heat if you're in the UK. Stay safe. And I will see you all in at least a week or at most a week. Have a great week. Bye.